This is my second attempt. God, I hate repeating videos, but you guys are worth it. I just had one of the people who make comments give me an entire copy of the secret recordings of the entire temple ceremony from one of the temples. How he did this, I have no idea. I don't know if the camera was that miniature that the people didn't see it or whatever, and he didn't get hit by lightning, and the recording got out, and I just witnessed it. Now, the first time I went to the temple, I was 19, and married to my first wife. That's been 44 years ago. Now, let me tell you before I die, because many of you are 25, sometimes 30 years younger than I am, and you 13 and 17-year-olds, you're just babies. Let me tell you what changes I've seen in my lifetime. I just saw it just now, the most recent copy, and I remember when I was 19, the recording. Now, most of you don't know this, but it's true. Before they had movies, I don't mean in the 1800s, I mean before the church got very sophisticated and made a movie, all of the temple ceremony was acted out by a bunch of senior people, older and more stupid than me. I have seen in the Salt Lake Temple what we called a live session, and I've seen it in Manti and other temples, and back in those days you could choose a live session or a dead one with the movie. I'm telling you, you saw some funny things when the old boys would get up, and it's a lot of dialogue, and how they memorized it, they didn't. They did. And you would hear people whispering through the veil, no, health in the name. They'd go on and on. And it was funny. And it was funny. And the Eves that played for the Adam and Eve, she was like 73 years old. It wasn't a very desirable Eve. But anyway, don't let anyone tell you that they didn't used to act it out. Not on a stage, but right there in front of the altar and in front of the veil, temple veil. So anyway, let me tell you what's changed, okay? Because you young Mormons will go, oh, he's not telling the truth. He's not. I've been to the temple. He's not. Okay, now here's what's changed, you young people that don't know your ass from your elbow. Do some research, okay? When I went through the temple the first time in Manti, they did have a movie. And I'm going to tell you, the movie in the old temple ceremony, I think, is better than the one they have now. The one they have now is like with the Hubble telescope, all of the things in outer space are cool. They're cool. But the set looks like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. The flowers don't match. There's too many flowers. And Eve, in the old movies, you know, the bushes came up to here on her. I like the old movie. The new one, they come up to here on her. Just funny shit. So the Mormons have changed the angle of Eve's nakedness in the garden. Now, when he said that we're going to put the man to sleep and we're going to take a rib out of him and make a woman, now I don't know why. I've just evolved to take a rib out of a man to make a woman. It's about the most stupid thing I have ever thought of in my life. They could have said, well, let's take his big toe. Let's take the foreskin of his penis. Let's take his nose. You don't need that shit to make a woman. Now, the Mormons will say, oh, they did that because they want the woman to stand beside the man, and the ribs are right there if she's standing beside the man. What crap. So anyway, that was always in there. Now, here's what's changed a lot. Satan is not that cool in the new movies. He used to be really cool. He's one of my idols in the movie. He had the beard, and he was good looking, man. Good looking. Well, this guy looks like he's wearing a huge toupee from the Catholic Church in the old days where they had one of these things. Anyway, Satan is not cool. He's totally white. And he is, well, he's delightsome. There's no brown people in the temple ceremony, believe me. And he came out, and he was much more of an actor. He was kind of cool. And he had this apron on. Now, you know the Mormons wear that green apron, just like the Masonic people do. And the apron that Satan had on had like a star on it, and a half a moon, and a crab. It had all kinds of religious designs on it. And someone in the movie, and they continue that today, said, what is that you're wearing? And he would say, it is the apron for the power of my priesthood. Well, in this movie, it doesn't show that. The apron is not shown. They pull in on Satan and his ugly face, and he lifts up his skirt. I guess I don't know what he's doing, but he lifts something up, and they see his apron, but you don't see it. So the longevity of animals and plants and colored flowers, and it was a mess. It was a mess. Now let me tell you what else they've changed in this movie. When Elohim, you know, God the Father, according to the Mormons, and Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son, where the rest of us came from, I don't know. They were standing in the air in the old movies. I guess they put like a green screen up and a table or something, and they were white, and they had big white beards, and that was the Mormons' ideas of what God and Jesus Christ looked like. Well, in this movie, they just have bright lights. There's no head, there's no feet, there's no real definition to God and Abraham. Later on, a little bit in the movie, you can see some feet and arms and a head, and it's God and Jesus, and it's a little bit more of a man. But in the old movies, you know, you could meet him on the street and recognize the guy. Now let me tell you what else just struck me, because I haven't seen this damn thing for, oh God, probably 15 years, maybe 14, 12 years. It's changed. It's changed. Don't let the Mormons tell you their temple ceremonies don't change. Now, when I went to the temple, and Mitt Romney went to the temple, the signs, tokens, and symbols of the priesthood are the same. However, there were penalties. There was the penalty that if you reveal this sign, token, or symbol, you promise not to do it at the peril of your life. And let me see how it used to go. It said, I will not reveal this sign, token, or symbol. Rather than do so, and you put your thumb under your neck, I would suffer my life to be taken. And you drop your arm down, which means they're going to slit your throat. That was scary. When you're 19, that's kind of scary. And then the other one was you put your thumb on your side, and rather than do so, I would suffer, you draw your thumb across your guts, my life to be, and then you drop your hands, to be taken, and all of your guts fall out. That's been taken out. Now that was taken out in the 90s. I don't remember if it was the late 90s. It seems to me it was like 92. So when the young Mormons say to you, oh, we don't teach that, they did. This is a living man with Mitt Romney that we promised to cut our throats and cut our guts open if we ever revealed the signs, tokens, and symbols of the holy priesthood, the holy cow priesthood. Anyway, that was changed. Now, there was a cool part that's gone too, a really cool part, and that's when Satan got them a little bit after they went into the dark and dreary world, and he says, you want to be preached to, and he says, I will have someone here right away. And so there was a Baptist, or I don't want to say Baptist, it was a preacher that had a collar, and he was dressed in black that looked like a preacher of any church. And Satan said, you know, or he said, what's going on? And Satan said to him, these people want to be preached to. And Satan said, and if you preach to them and convert them, I will pay you well. And the preacher gets a big smile on his face with, pay you well. Kind of like, you can put some in the Cayman Islands and some in a Swiss bank account. So the preacher was pretty enthusiastic, and he was cute. And so there was that interchange there between Satan, Adam and Eve, and the preacher. Well, the preacher's gone. He got translated. He just disappeared out of there. Okay, now, the other thing that I noticed, and I got thinking of, that Elohim told Jesus, and then Jesus told Peter, James, and John. Now, these guys didn't have computers. Believe me, there were no intercoms, and each time they had to go, yes, sir, I'll go do it. Yes, Elohim, it shall be done. And it just goes on as boring as can be. But anyway, I was thinking now, Peter, James, and John has not been born yet. Jesus was born after Adam and Eve. Are these spiritual people? They didn't seem to be, because when they went down onto the earth, Peter, James, and John shook hands with Adam. Check the new movie. Joseph Smith said, if they're spirits, their hands will go right through you. You can't feel. That's how you can tell angels. It was Joseph Smith that said, you know, they'll go right through the wall and you can't feel them. Well, it's obvious that Adam and Eve were eternal, or were earthly beings, and Peter, James, and John came out of the sky and they shook hands. So I thought, wow, that's weird. That's totally weird. And they weren't born yet. And isn't it interesting that Elohim said that they were apostles, that they were to go down in their true character as apostles? Now, I got, again, this is bipolar crap. I got thinking, what are the damn chances of when Jesus was born, Peter, James, and John would live in the same town, and that Jesus would coincidentally pick them to be 1/4 of the 12 apostles? That's pretty amazing. It probably could never, never happen. And of course, Peter, James, and John are dressed like Israelites in whatever, 2012, not BC, well, right there. You know, they knew how the people dressed in the old land. So they all showed up in their Israeli costumes. So it was very, very interesting. Also, the 5 points of fellowship. That comes from the Masonic, and your young Mormons will say, oh, we don't teach that, we never taught. Yes, you did teach it. Me and Mitt Romney went to the temple, and you know, when you ask for the, let's see, the second token of the Melchizedek priesthood, the Lord says through the veil, you shall receive it upon the 5 points of fellowship. And that was inside of foot to inside of foot, knee to knee, breast to breast, mouth to ear, and hand to back. Well, they took that out too, because I told you on other videos it was the 6 points of fellowship when you work the women's side. And the women go, I don't think that's one of the points of fellowship. It's too friendly. So anyway, it's changed. And I don't think the new one is as nice. The flowers don't match, and I mean, it looks like a child's painting. And they spent a lot of time with the animals in this one too. And the plants, and like I said, the Hubble telescope pictures were the ones of outer space, and that was nicer than they used to have. So anyway, don't let anyone tell you that they don't change the temple ceremony. Oh, and the most important one that I saw was this: the law of chastity. Okay, the law of chastity. I had it screwed up in a couple of other videos. It says that you promise that you will have no sexual relations with anyone except your lawfully wedded wife or husband. It used to say sexual intercourse. So impotent people had it made back then, but not now. Not now. If you touch anything or do anything, you're going to get excommunicated. So that was gone. Now, very, very subtle changes. When I went to the temple, the word obey was in the commandment to the girls, that they would obey their husbands as he obeyed the laws of the Lord. Changed. The women's groups and society has pressured them, not Jesus. Jesus didn't show up and say, hey, change this, it's just not as good. Now they say to the women that you will hearken under your husband's counsel as he hearkens unto the Lord. So the women, again, they didn't like the 6 points of fellowship, and they didn't like obeying their husbands, and they changed the temple ceremony. So I don't know, maybe they're all little Jesuses or something. Because when I've seen them, I go, Jesus. I'm just kidding you now, just kidding you. So anyway, I've seen the newest version. The dialogue is very, very similar, but there's been subtle changes in words because to be politically correct. The preacher bit the dust. He was cool. And Satan sucks. He's got a toupee. He kind of looks like... now, there's more than one movie. I only saw one. The movies are identical, but they have different sessions going on at the same time inside the temple. And you might get a better Adam and Eve. Now, Adam was good looking. Satan looked like, I want to say Warren Buffett. What is wrong with my memory? Donald Trump. They don't even sound the same. His toupee looks a lot like Donald Trump. But back in the old days, Eve was hot. This Eve, you know, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So anyway, have fun. Go look for this. I tried to link that video and put it on and maybe get it on my email, but the Holy Ghost stopped me. But anyway, it's very accurate. It's right out of a temple ceremony. It's not made up. It's real people. They disguise the faces of the real people, except the temple workers. You can see the temple workers' faces, and I bet they're embarrassed to death. But the other people, they were afraid, I guess, was going to sue them. But this guy who did it, he knew the ceremony very, very well. He didn't make any mistakes at the veil. And his camera, my gosh, I don't know how he recorded changing robes and all the dressing things that went on in there, but he was good. He was good. And if there's any way I can capture that, maybe put it on email or something. If you want to see the Mormon temple ceremony in its entirety, you can get it right now on the web. So, thanks.